guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and today we are doing a try a chapter tag with my recent checked out library books. So if you missed my recent video, I did a huge library haul where I talked about all of the recent books that I checked out from my library, and I mentioned in that video that I was interested in doing a try a chapter tag kind of video for some of the books that I had in that haul. So that is what we're doing today. The first book that I plan on reading the first chapter of is one that I actually didn't include in that haul because I didn't know that I was getting it so soon, but that is Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. This is a Red Shoes retelling historical fiction. The Red Shoes is one of my all-time favorite fairy tales. It's very dark, very gruesome, all of the components what makes a fantastic, scary, lovely fairy tale. And I have read an Anna Marie McLemore book. I've read When the Moon Was Ours in the past, and I really enjoyed that one. So when I heard that they were coming out with a fairy tale retelling set in a historical setting, I knew I was going to be all over that. So I'm very excited to check this one out. I haven't heard too many reviews about this book, but I know it has been getting some buzz recently. So hopefully I enjoy this. The next book I have is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. All I know about this is that it's vampires set in Mexico City, which I am so freaking excited for that. The only problem with this book is I am not a huge fan of Silvia Moreno Garcia's writing style. I read Gods of Jade and Shadow by her last year, and I just did not vibe with her writing style, so I am a little afraid of that happening with this book, but I love vampires so much that I'm hoping it makes up for it and it doesn't impede on my enjoyment. The next one I have is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This is a gender bent Count of Monte Cristo retelling, and I am a bit familiar with the story of Count of Monte Cristo. I was going to listen to the abridged version, and I have the audiobook for it, but I'm just going to try the chapter out, and if I feel the need to listen to the abridged version, I will, but I don't think I'm really going to need it now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe that's just me trying to justify my laziness, but there you go. I am very excited to check this one out as well. This is a recent new release that's been getting quite a bit of buzz lately. The next one I have is another 2020 anticipated releases, and that is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, and this is a book centering around Bolivian politics and a revolution, rebellion kind of esque thing. I believe there's some royalty tropes in here. I again haven't heard any reviews for this, but it has been getting quite a bit of hype. I mean, can you blame it? This cover is stunning. I really want to love this because I want to own this book so badly. I'm very curious to see how this goes. Another one I have is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. I have just heard so many good things from the people who have read this. I haven't seen a ton of people read it, but those who have read it hype it up quite a bit. And even in my video, a few people mentioned how they really enjoyed this one, so I'm going to give the first chapter a shot and see if I want to continue the story. And the final book that I want to check out the chapter for is Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger. The little blurb on the cover says it's Pokemon combined with Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I know that this book centers around kind of animal companions, which is where the Pokemon vibes come in, and I've heard very good things from Monty, who is my absolute favorite reviewer on this platform, so I trust his taste. Alright, so I am going to read the first chapter of all of these, and I will say as a caveat, if the chapters are very short in some of these books, then I will read at least 15 to 20 pages overall, so that's kind of the average I'm going to set for myself. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the vlog portion of this video. So I already finished one of the chapters, and I finished the first chapter of Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and I can safely say that my concerns were correct. She has such a straightforward writing style, and it's so hard to explain because I feel like writing styles are so hard for me to explain because I don't have the writing knowledge and the lingo to be able to describe it properly. But this is the same problems I had with Gods of Jade and Shadow, where it's very detached and there's not a lot of emotion or feeling in her writing, and so I can't connect to the characters. And I know this is only the first chapter, but I can already tell that it would be a constant problem. So I'm just gonna read a paragraph here. So it says, Domingo leaned against his cart and waited to see if the news show would expand on the drug war story. He was fond of yellow journalism. He also liked stories and comic books about vampires. They seemed exotic. There were no vampires in Mexico City. Their kind had been a no-no for the past 30 years, ever since the old federal district became a city-state, walling itself from the rest of the country. Walling itself from the rest of the country. He still didn't understand what a city-state was exactly, but it sounded important and the vampires stayed out. The next story was of a pop star, the singing sensation of the month, and then there was another ad, this one for a shoulder bag computer. Domingo sulked and changed the tune on his music player. He looked on the other screen with pictures of blue butterflies floating around. Domingo took a chocolate from his pocket and tore the wrapper. It's very robotic, and it doesn't have any stylization, I think that's what I'm missing from it. I don't know exactly. I just know that I had the exact same problems with Gods of Jade and Shadow. So I don't think Sylvia Moreno Garcia is going to be the author for me. I'm so sorry, Jocelyn. I know you really love her, but I just don't vibe with her writing style. And I wish I did, because like Vampires of Mexico City sounds like such a fun time, but I just can't get behind the writing style. And so unfortunately, I'm going to be sending this one back to the library. All right, so I think the next one I'm going to try is Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. So let's give it a chance. So I read about 20 pages of this because the first chapter was really short. We seem to be following 2 timelines and a couple different perspectives, and I didn't get the whole dual timeline until I read the little flap here. So one of the timelines is taking place in Strasbourg, France, and we are following a couple characters that are Romani, and they are forced to disguise themselves as non-Romani people, and so they have to kind of hide their identity. And then the other timeline is 500 years later with this girl named Rosella, and she has something to do with the red shoes. And I think the previous timeline, the one with the Romani people, that is when this curse sets and everybody starts dancing, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. That's just what I know from the synopsis, and that's part of the Red Shoes retelling. So I didn't really get anything of that nature quite yet, but we did get introduced to a couple characters, one of them being our trans character, which in Anna Marie McLemore, they always include trans rep, which is always fantastic. And I haven't really gotten a whole lot in that 20 pages because obviously you can't really get that much. I can say though that this is a lot less stylized than When the Moon Was Ours is. So far, I haven't gotten a lot of the magical realism-esque writing style that Anna Marie McLemore has. If you've ever read one of their books, it's very lyrical and stylized and doesn't really make sense. Like, you don't really know what they're saying, but it's very pretty writing. I haven't really gotten a lot of that in this book, so I feel like this is going to be a really great book for people that couldn't get into their previous books because of how stylized it is. So if you are one of those people, I would highly recommend checking this out because I think you might vibe more with this book rather than their other work. I am intrigued. Like I said, I feel like I don't have enough enough of a grip on the story yet, and it's a little confusing because of we keep jumping around, and each of the chapters are very, very short. And so as soon as I'm like, okay, I understand what's going on, we switch perspectives and we switch to another person, another character. So that's a little jarring at the moment, but I probably will read maybe 20 more pages because, again, it's going by really quickly because of how short the chapters are. But I won't do that in this video. But just so you guys know, I am intrigued, and it is a lot different from their other bodies of work. So the next one I think I'm going to do is Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger. I read the prologue of Steel Crow Saga, and we are introduced to one of our main characters. We're following 4 main characters, so I got a little taste of our first perspective, and we are introduced to her. Her name is Tala, and we're introduced to her and her brother. Her and her brother were chilling in like a marketplace, I think it is, like a marketplace area, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out between 2 groups, but we got a taste of the shade pacting, which is the whole thing with the human and animal companion thing. And let me just tell you, it was pretty cool. So I'm very, very intrigued by this. It has a lot of words and stuff that I don't know and I don't understand. Doesn't look like there's a glossary, which kind of sucks. I am one of those people who thinks that all fantasy books should have glossaries, no matter if it's YA or adult. Every fantasy book should have a glossary. This one doesn't, unfortunately. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, and it's going to take more than just a chapter for me to really understand what's going on. But I can say that the whole companion thing is pretty cool, and I'm very excited to learn a little more about this. I tried to read the first chapter, but it was really, really long, and I didn't want to go over the 20-page count, so I just read the prologue. I am intrigued. I am definitely going to check more of this out, so I think you guys should put this on your radar. Alright, so the next one I'm going to do is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. Okay, so I read the first chapter and I'm already really, really excited because it's going on the Monte Cristo route, and our main character, Amaya, not sure, but our main character, she lives on this ship. I don't know, I assume it's like a merchant ship, and she seems to be staying there as a form of debt collection. She seems to have some sort of debt on her, and she is living on this ship, and she basically guts fish for the ship, and there is this man that is drowning in the ocean, and the captain is like, nah, let him drown, we don't care. And Amaya, our main character, who goes by Silverfish on the ship because the captain is like, I don't care who you are, your name is Silverfish and you're gonna be grateful for it. So our girl doesn't listen to the captain, and she rescues the man, and the captain then says, you ripped a net and you didn't listen to me, so you're gonna be on this ship for 4 more weeks. And our main character is all like, I mean, saving a man's life has to be worth another month.
He better be rich.
And I already know, based on the Count of Monte Cristo, that this man is going to be rich, and he is likely going to be the person that gives her money and gives her this new identity so she can carry out her revenge story or whatever her goals are. We don't even get a taste of that in the first chapter, but I'm just assuming that's going to be how it goes. So I'm very, very intrigued by this. Not crazy about the writing style. Like, I'm like, it's okay, it's not the best, but I am very excited about this one. So I'm going to continue with this one for sure. All right, so we only have 2 more books left. So let's do Woven in Moonlight. Alright, little change of scenery, but I finished the first chapter of Woven in Moonlight. So from what I can see from the first chapter, we are following our Condessa and our Condessa's decoy, and basically our queen was overthrown by this enemy ruler, and they are now, her and her people are now in hiding, and our real Condessa has been replaced, quote unquote, by this other girl who was posing as the Condessa. Am I confusing you yet? It's not that confusing, I just don't know how to explain things. So our fake Condessa is now in charge, or posing as being in charge, and her name is Jimena, and Jimena actually has the ability to weave moonlight. There's a scene where she has moonlight thread, and I'm not entirely sure what that means, and there's also this moon dust that can seem to help people sleep. It isn't totally explained, but there is kind of that magical realism aspect of this book. And our real Condessa, her name is Catalina, she is a seer, and she's able to kind of see the future through the stars, but she isn't exactly trained in doing that, so she still has to grow with her power, and she doesn't really understand it yet. But our chapter opens up where they are losing supplies. They don't have very many rations left for food, and the chapter ends with the enemy appearingly at their doorstep. So already it's getting pretty interesting, and I am very much intrigued. I think the writing style is very pretty and easy to understand, so I am enjoying that. I was really hoping that it was female-female romance and it was a sapphic romance, but it seems like our two Condessas are more like sisterly bonds, which, I mean, I guess is fine, but I was hoping for some romance. Maybe there still is. There is another female character that we don't meet in the first chapter, and she seems to be the protector of this group of people, and she has this shadow magic that is just mentioned, but again, we don't really know what it is because that character is missing. She said she was going to be gone for 3 days. It's now been 4. We don't know where she is. We don't know what's happening, but a lot happened in this first chapter, so I am definitely intrigued. So, last but not least, Crown of Feathers. Let's go. Okay, this was fantastic. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we are following two sisters. One is Veronica and the other is Val, and they are on the hunt for phoenix eggs because they are both animages, and animages are people that can talk to animals. So it's not just phoenixes that have this ability. Veronica actually has a little owl that is mentioned, and not only are they animages, but they also have shadow magic, which another book that has shadow magic in it. And shadow magic is the ability to read human minds, which is even more feared. It seems that animages are tolerated in this world, but shadow magic and people who use shadow magic are feared and thus prosecuted against because they can control minds, and you see the fear that could be injected when it comes to that. They have found some phoenix eggs, and right at the end of the chapter, they start to hatch. So we already get a lot of that. There's already a bunch of lore and world building that happens in just the first chapter, and we see kind of the magic system and how it goes about. And also at the end of the chapter, there is a page from some sort of history religious text. And so we get a little bit of religion as well. And This one, I feel like, is probably the best first chapter I read out of all of the books, and I am very excited to see more of this because also Val is quite already an unlikable and brutal kind of character. You get this dichotomy between Veronica and Val because Val feels like animals should be controlled and used for their own gain, while Veronica believes that they should be treated with love and respect and have a really deep relationship and, like, you know, kind of thing. I don't know what I'm saying, but I see the differences between the two, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, hello. I have read the first chapter of all of the books, and now I have put it in order from most enjoyed to least enjoyed, and here is my little ranking. So the one that I definitely most enjoyed was the one that I saved for last, and that was Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. And then next up is Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. Next is Steel Crow Saga by Paul Kruger. Then we have Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore. Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez, and finally Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. The only one that I'm not interested in continuing on is Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I just don't vibe with the writing style of Sylvia Moreno Garcia, so I don't think I'm going to check out any of her books in the future, unfortunately. She's just not the author for me, but I still highly recommend checking her out if you are interested in any of her book. Woven in Moonlight and Dark and Deepest Red are kind of up in the air. I definitely need to read more of these to fully figure out if this is going to be the stories for me. This one was quite fast-paced, and I did enjoy the magical realism aspects of it, and this one was a bit convoluted, but I think the potential of it being a Red Shoes retelling will really be interesting, and I like that it follows Romani characters because I recently read The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave, and that also featured Romani people, so I really like that group of individuals to examine, and I think this could be really fun once the plot kind of gets moving and I read more of it. I'm very intrigued by Steel Crow Saga because it seems like it's going to be quite a unique and fun magic system, and I'm really hoping that I love the characters because there is a bit of humor that I already saw in the prologue, and so I hope that continues throughout. I think it's going to be very unique, and I'm very excited for it. Scavenge the Stars gives me pirate vibes and revenge stories and badass female character vibes, so I'm really hoping that's what I get from this. I thought the first chapter was very interesting, and I'm very excited to see how this continues. And finally, Crown of Feathers, you already get so much of the lore in the first chapter, and I'm so excited to learn more about this world. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, so I'm very excited to continue this one. Alright, you guys, so that is it for this video. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. If you are interested in picking up any of these books for yourself, I will include the Amazon affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, it just helps me out in this channel. And if you aren't interested in necessarily buying anything for yourself, I do have my Amazon wish list, my coffee, and also my P.O. box if you want to send me anything to support this channel. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!